I know that this is my favorite time of year. It's Derby time. No,
Got us.
no, it's the time I get to come see you. And I love it. I love it. I love. Someone asked me why I don't retire. In fact, it was I was down in E-Town. I went to E-Town Community College for a couple of years before I went on to UK. And we got together about 2 months ago down in E-Town, a bunch of us. And somebody asked me, why don't you retire? And I said, well, why would I retire? I love what I do and I love who I do it for. And that's been, I've had to use that line quite a bit since my hair's gotten a little grayer. But I really do. I love what I do and I love who I do it for. Your purpose and all of the things that you've done for this state are remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And the power of this organizations and all organizations that support teachers is immeasurable, immeasurable. I just look out over this group of people here and think, what if Bo Barnes had all of these people show up at a PPOB meeting? There would be a different conversation being had about the importance of this pension plan. Now, the legislature has done remarkable, and the governor has done remarkable over the last dozen years in meeting the obligations to this plan. But over many years, that didn't happen. There were other needs for the funds other than funding your pension. But this pension is so, so important to this Commonwealth. Not only to you, I love sending you all checks each month, don't get me wrong. But this pension plan is so important to the Commonwealth in so many ways. It gives people a reason to get into teaching. It gives people a reason to stay teaching. It gives people security after they've taught. Those three things are immeasurable in helping keep teachers in the classroom and get teachers in the classroom. And we know how tough that is these days with teachers' salaries being so low that so many people are choosing to go in other professions. So we need to get teachers' salaries up. We need to put more money in teachers' salaries along the way. But we need to keep this pension plan there too. Social Security, over the next 6 years, this country has to do something about funding Social Security. In 2032, Social Security will only be able to produce 70% of the benefit that Social Security recipients are drawing today. Something's not done. 2032, that's what, this is 2026. That's 6 years. So, teachers in Kentucky aren't part of that problem because they're not subject to Social Security. That's why this plan is so important. And TRS 4, the plan that was passed in the legislature in 2001 and became effective 2002, that new plan is a defined benefit plan that will continue this benefit for teachers in the future, and it produces no unfunded liability that future governors and legislators can get behind and pay. So that makes this plan secure into the future for teachers. So, with all of that, I've got a lot of good news to share with you this morning. And I know we have someone going to speak to you a little later, or I think we're having someone speak a little later on Social Security. So be sure to ask them pertinent questions when they come to speak, okay? And hopefully I'll have a little time left if I don't carry on too long up here. 4 questions from you too about your plan. So with that, we're going to jump into the headlines that I want to speak about this morning. We've had another good year of great investment returns. Now, that is only part of the solution to getting this plan funded. We've been in the top decile of performance now ever since the Great Recession, 2008. But that alone doesn't catch up for all the shortfall in funding. If we only got 50% of the assets, earning 7.1% or better doesn't get us there. If you only got 50% of the assets, we have to earn 15% compounded return, which is practically impossible to do. No pension plan in the nation's done that since 2008. So we have to have those contributions coming in every year. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel on that. And that happens in 2047 at 7.1%. It happens sooner than 2047 if we earn more than 7.1%, as we have done on your investments. The budget that just passed was an austere budget, but they included the funding for your pension plan and their promise on shared responsibility in funding the medical benefit to the extent that they are supposed to fund that. So we've had a great legislative session, thanks to Greg and all of you that have worked on that legislative session in getting that budget passed and in making sure that health insurance was protected going forward. And shared responsibility that you put in place in 2010 is now 89% funded. You have something that most retirees around the nation don't have. You have a medical benefit that is practically fully funded. Fully funded, which means only the contributions for existing people have to come in to pay for that, and that's only about 3% of the pay. So the monies that you put in while you were teaching, the monies you put in now for the under 65 portion of shared responsibility, all of that has raised your medical benefit to one of the best funded medical benefits in the nation for teachers. So with that, let's jump into a slide or two here. Consistency in funding, consistency in investments is so important in a long-term plan like a pension plan. And I'm happy to say you have a great board of trustees and a great governance structure supporting your pension plan. The majority of the people that are on this board are elected by you, and in my personal opinion, that's the way it should be. These are your funds. These are funds that you've earned throughout your career. You should have control of those through your board of trustees all the way from the time you first walk into the classroom through your retirement. And you do. So you have one of the best board structures for a retirement system in the nation. And just a word about some of our board members here. Mr. Straub is here today. He's on our investment committee. Mr. Straub is a wonderful board member, has done a great job for you. He asks tough questions in those investment committee meetings that come about on a quarterly basis. He asks some really tough questions, and we appreciate that. Because if we can't answer those questions, we've got to get to work more and be able to answer those questions. It keeps us sharp. It keeps us from becoming parochial in our investments. It lets us look out across all of the investing universe And he has those great questions coming forth, as do many of those members on that investment committee. And just a word about Ms. McGowan, your board chair. I just recently had a problem come up that I needed to speak to the board chair about and get her advice on. I called her, she gave me her advice, handled the situation, and that was that. What was remarkable was Miss McGowan was in the hospital at the time. I didn't know that. She had had a slight accident and was in the hospital recovering, but she didn't. I didn't know that till 2 weeks later. You know, so those are the kind of people you elect to the board, people that really care about you and really take their fiduciary responsibility seriously. So pat yourselves on the back, and don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. It's so important. This Board of Trustees is so important to your health plan and your pension plan. Every person that's in this system should vote in this election. Not because that individual vote's going to make a difference, but because it lets everyone know how important this Board of Trustees is to you. So vote, vote, vote. I'm not going to say early and often because that gets us. But do vote. And these are the candidates up for election this year. We've got an active teacher trustee, and Dr. Littlepage is currently on the board. He's the vice chair of the board and running, and he's from Murray. And we have Jordan Smith, that's from EKU, that's on the ballot as an active teacher trustee. Then we have two lay trustees. Corey Chestnuts is a banker from down in the east part of the state, and Phil Sturgill is a contractor from in Frankfort, Kentucky. So please go out there and vote for one of these individuals. I don't care who you vote for. Whenever you vote and those people become elected, it's amazing how great of trustees they turn into. I once had someone say, shouldn't those trustees not be teachers? Shouldn't they be investment people and finance people? And I said, there's nothing better than a teacher to listen to a sales pitch from an investment manager and pick out the BS pretty quick. I said, they've heard it all their career.
Amen.
I said, they are the best at doing that, and they don't mind speaking up either and asking the tough questions. So, no, teachers are great trustees. Just an aside, this is my personal opinion, I think retired teachers would make great senators and representatives. And not just from the standpoint of helping out the retirement system, not at all. Just because of the education you have and the life experiences that you've encountered throughout your career, you would make great leaders in Frankfort. So just a food for thought out there. Our investment performance, 1 year return was 12%. Top 6% in the nation. That means 94% of the pension plans in the United States wish they were us.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. And the 10-year return, still top 6% over 10 years. That means every year for 10 years, we're in the top 6% of the nation for investment performance. And it's because of your board of trustees and our investment committee, that board that you elect, and the fact that we have a stable investment platform. I just read in Pension and Investment News this week, yesterday as a matter of fact, that the Chief Investment Officer of New Mexico just retired, and he had like a 19-year career, which is a short career at TRS in Kentucky. But 19 years there, did a great, wonderful job, but he attributed it all to the fact that he could do his job and all the bureaucracy and all the outside influences, he was protected from that by his board of trustees. That's why your investment people can do such a good job, is because they are protected from the bureaucracy that slows them down and the outside influences on what they should invest in. So that's how important your board of trustees is. Another reason to vote, and another reason to consider running for House or Senate. Yeah, just throw that out there again. Now, what does these percentages mean? Most of you have seen this graph before. Since the Great Recession, we've outperformed the average pension plan considerably, to the tune of $7 billion. We've generated $7 billion more than the return of the average pension plan in the United States if we were the average pension plan. $7 billion, we spend $2.2 billion a year on your retirement benefits. $7 billion is covering 3 years pension benefits. $7 billion is more than we spend on education in Kentucky over a year to 2 year period. $7 billion, that's what you've done. So that's remarkable. It's almost half of the operating budget of the state that we've been able to generate on investing your assets for you. And the funding, as I said before, this legislature, the current legislature and the legislatures over the past 12 years have faced a very daunting task of catching up for past shortfalls in funding to the pension plan. And now we've had 12 years in a row of full funding or nearly full funding of your pension plan and your medical benefits. So when you do see that legislator out there that you know, or if you don't know them, go up and introduce yourselves. Tell them thank you for doing that, for doing what is tough to do, because they're putting close to $2 billion a year in your pension plan, $2 billion, which is necessary to keep this pension plan going, but it's hard to do in a $16 billion budget. So thank them for that. Thank them for that very much. Greg and I were just talking before the meeting today, and he was saying that he's heard more and more in Frankfurt about, man, we could do a lot if we didn't have to put so much money in that teacher's retirement system. So thank you for doing that. I mean, it has to be done, but they are doing it. They are doing it. So. And like I said, in 2047, all of this pain that's in the budget is over. And then they drop back to just putting in 10% of active teachers' pay in TRS 4. So they're putting quite a bit more than that in. They're putting in close to 20% of pay right now into the budget. But this is going to drop it back to about 10% of pay. And that keeps the pension plan going. That just puts money aside for new teachers coming in. They're not paying past debts any longer. So, another bit of good news. And this happened a bit ago. I call this slide persistence. This is something that has been endeavored to be done ever since I joined the pension plan in 1999 and even before. So persistence pays, right?
Yes.
Yes, it does. And I know there's probably a number of you out there that are getting a little check now from the federal government because of this.
Yes.
This is a slide that I like because it usually gets a chuckle, but It's the slide of the people we send checks to each month that aren't supposed to be here. So, and that number keeps growing. It went up 500 people last year, sending checks to 500 more people than we're supposed to last year. And we've got 100 people that are over age, we've got 43 people that are over age 100 that we send checks to each month. And I hope to be sending checks to all of you in this room. And when you hit that 100 mark there.
Yes.
TRS 4 plan is a very good plan for teachers, and it's a plan that has been lauded by Pew Charitable Trust and the National Institute on Retirement Security. The structure of that plan is one that they say is sustainable and provides a great benefit for teachers. So just wanted to throw that out there. Shared responsibility, we're in the second decade of that, and you can see the funding, how that shifted. The gray bar is what the state was putting in and where the benefit was going to go away in 2010. And now shared responsibility has a sustained funding source, and the funding, the 3%, that 3.75% that active teachers put in and matched by 3% from local school districts, that has given us the foundation. We have over $4 billion in that plan today. And we started out with very little in that plan. You can see we started out somewhere around $300 million in that plan, and today we have over $4 billion, and the investment income is paying for much of that medical benefit now. And we're at 89% funded there. We expect that benefit to be fully funded within the next 2 to 3 years. Fully funded is a misnomer for medical, because you never know what's going to happen with medical that's going to cause the cost to shoot up. For this plan to be safely funded, full funded, it's attributed to 100% funded based on today's environment. But if things change in medical, which they constantly do, that 100% might need to be 130% funded in order just to be safely funded for medical. So if we can get that up to 130%, 140%, or if we got it to the level of the legislator's medical plan, which is 260% funded. Did I say that, Greg? Another reason to be a legislator. Please don't share that with anyone in front of you. Thank you. I want to speak a bit about a coalition that you all are well aware of, and that's the Know Your Arts Coalition that we're a founding member of, with UK, U of L, and EKU back in 2012 is when we formed that organization. And we now have 13 pharmacists that work for you. Anytime you need to speak to a pharmacist about medications, give them a call. They're there. Half the calls they take are from you, asking questions. So be sure to give them a call if you've got any questions about your medications. They're also the impetus behind the personalized medicine initiative that we started back in 2017 for youth. This initiative has gotten nationwide recognition since it was started. Jane Gilbert, when she was our director of medical, went to Harbin and spoke to a room of 400 doctors about this back shortly after it started. Right now, we have Express Scripts and Humana very interested in this and getting involved in this. In fact, with our new contract with Humana that provides our coverage for our over 65 population, Humana is now paying the cost of this. It's not coming out of your medical trust. So, and the cost is very low. I mean, you're looking at less than $500 a person to have this test done. It's a one-time test, lets you know what drugs your body will take, and not only what drugs, but what dosages of those drugs you should be taking. Let you know if you've got drug-drug interactions, that sort of thing. And since prescription drugs are the third leading cause of death in the United States, this is pretty good information to have in order to get to that slide we had before of those people I send birthday greetings to that are over 100. Probably a good thing for that too. But these are the 20 most used drugs on the left here by us, people that are over age 65. The Torvastatin, I can't take it. It doesn't work for me. Metropol, rosuvastatin, all of these have DNA implications. PGX is the shorthand for pharmacogenomics. PGX implications. All of those things, if you see a drug you're taking there, it may be that your body is not metabolizing it properly, and if it's not metabolizing it properly, it's either doing you no good or it's actually becoming toxic in your body. So those are the kind of things that this personalized medicine will help take care of. Any questions that you have about your medical benefits, give us a call at the retirement system. I know Dora Moore was here yesterday, spoke to a group of you, and we'll be glad to, we're always out visiting your chapters and that sort of thing, and be glad to speak to you about this medical benefit. It's an extremely important medical benefit. You know, there's a lot of retirees that don't have any kind of medical coverage like you've got, much less access to personalized medicine and direct access to pharmacists. So another great thing that you've got and that shared responsibility is brought about. So with that, Madam President, that concludes my remarks.